When the Derby Arboretum opened in 1840, it provided townsfolk with a much-needed new lung from which to breathe fresh air, in contrast to the stale air of rapid urbanisation. Even though the railways had come to Derby in 1839, prohibitive fares meant that few could leave the pollution of the burgeoning town for the cleaner air of the countryside or the coast. Moved to rectify this, 75-year-old Joseph Strut, son of textile magnate Jedediah, donated 11 acres of land on the outskirts of the built-up area to the borough. Costing its benefactor more than £10,000, Derby Arboretum became the first park in an urban area and the first park to be designed for and owned by the public. And to create his park, Strut chose the preeminent garden designer of the age, John Claudius Loudon. Not only a pioneer in landscaping, but an influential expert in architecture and town and country planning. Loudon's ideas had already begun to shape the townscapes and gardens across the country. Garden designers in the 18th century had attempted to create a natural landscape using artificial means. Both Capability Brown and Humphrey Repton, designers of the grounds of Chatsworth and Wingerworth Hall, respectively, were exponents of this theory. But by the beginning of the 19th century, this rather staid style had been replaced by the so-called picturesque, where gardens were designed to resemble nature, as depicted in landscape paintings. Initially, this had been Loudon's chosen style, but in 1832, Loudon proposed a new style. He called it the gardenesque. Rather than imitate nature, Loudon chose to highlight exotic species, to remove the indigenous flora, to maintain, artificially if necessary, the size and height of the chosen plants, and to create flower beds in geometric shapes. He saw no point in recreating the natural. After all, as he noted in his writings, any creation to be recognized as a work of art must be such as can never be mistaken for a work of nature. And it was in his design for the Derby Arboretum that Loudon chose to put into practice this pioneering new style. In line with the aims of Strut and Loudon, every aspect of the park was planned in detail, every component carefully thought out to produce a public open space that was both beautiful and educational. Some 6,000 feet of gravel walkways were installed, punctuated at regular intervals with seats. The main central path had a fountain as its focal point, and a circuit path took in the whole park. Interconnecting paths led visitors to particular features such as ornaments or statues. The trees were planted on undulating mounds up to 8 feet in height so that every tree in the park could be seen, while visitors on other paths were shielded from view. To prevent distraction, the entire park was enclosed in similar grassy banks that screened visitors from the urban sprawl beyond. Loudon planted 1,000 trees, thousands more evergreens, and 100 different types of rose, all of which were labelled for the education of the visitor. Shape and balance were of the utmost importance. Should a tree reach more than 50 feet in height, Loudon intended that it should be cropped or replaced with a smaller specimen. Lodges and pavilions were built where visitors could rest or picnic. Opening day, September 16, 1840, was declared a universal holiday in Derby, although only a select few factory and mill owners and local dignitaries were invited. The following day, more than 9,000 of their employees were allowed their first glimpse of the new park, because an admission charge was usually applied. The poorest Derbyans visited only on Sundays and Wednesdays, when admission was free to all classes of the public, subject only to such restrictions and regulations as may be found necessary for the observance of order and decorum. So here we are, 180 years on from its inception. The Arboretum continues to be a jewel in Derby's crown, albeit underutilised and not promoted as it should be, given its wonderful and tranquil setting only 10 minutes away from Derby's busy shopping centre. Many local residents frequent its paths, with some walking and jogging around them for exercise, whilst others cut through on their way to and from work. It's very convenient for the railway station. Some years ago the park had become very run down, but with help from Heritage Lottery Fund, some serious clearing of undergrowth and replacement of some of the older damaged trees brought it back to being a safe and attractive green space. We have to admit that, like other urban parks, its reputation has to some extent been tarnished by antisocial behaviour, but considering the large number of people passing through all day, the opportunities for serious misdemeanour are reduced. The cooperation by the community police and the introduction of regular events has meant the atmosphere has genuinely improved. The Friends of Derby Arboretum was reformed in 2015 as a result of initial work by a group of artists known as Spiral Arts. They had been successful in securing funding from the People's Health Trust for a project entitled Cultivating Friends. The primary focus was to fund activities for the upcoming 175th anniversary of the park on September the 5th, 2015. Spiral Arts also wanted to bring together local residents, the City Parks team, sustrans and other interested parties to form a group to look after the park. So the Friends group emerged with its own committee, chaired by a local resident. It was able to take over a previous bank account run by an early incarnation of the Friends of Derby Arboretum, and, together with Spiral Arts and Derby Parks, to start to run 3 events a year in the park. The Rotary Club of Derby became interested in getting involved in some way after reading this article in the Derby Telegraph. The club was looking for a local project to support that would benefit the whole community as part of its centenary celebrations in 2018. Following a meeting with Spiral Arts, some of the Rotary Club members attended the Friends meetings and were able to facilitate some of the formal steps towards the group becoming a charity, such as developing its constitution. They were also able to help with sourcing further funding. One of the key objectives of the newly formed Friends group was to develop the old bowling green into a community garden. The Parks Department had already started to mark out a series of beds and initiated some of the planting. Local school children had suggested the maze layout. The Friends group gradually took over this responsibility, and the garden continues to flourish with some recently added raised beds. The garden has also been a source of interest by local refugee groups, facilitated by one of our members and for younger families. Next to the old bowling green, which is now the community garden, there was a boarded-up building known as the Joseph Strut Pavilion. The Rotary Club identified its renovation as a suitable centenary community project, turning it into a hub for the Friends of Derby Arboretum to have a base to extend their range of activities. Having been abandoned for over 8 years, the building had deteriorated badly, mainly as a result of a pigeon infestation in the upper floor via a damaged part of the roof. Discussions with the City Council commenced, and eventually in 2018 a 25-year lease was signed between the Friends Group and the City Council. Initially funding was secured from the Police and Crime Commission's NICE Fund. The grant of £25,000 would cover the costs of repairing the roof, removing the chimney at first floor level to open up the first floor, and installing a new ceiling. In December 2018, several club members helped to remove the debris that littered the 2 floors and made available the downstairs toilets for general use. The building refurbishment was then started in early 2019. This phase of the work was completed in May 2019, but to enable the building to be fully utilised, a further grant was needed. Bids were submitted to the National Lottery and the Garfield Weston Foundation. Initially, we secured a pledge of $7,500 from the Garfield Weston Foundation, conditional on securing the balance of funds. We were pleased to subsequently receive an award from the National Lottery of £58,000. Work restarted in June 2020, and the plan is to finish the project to coincide with the 180th anniversary of the Derby Arboretum. The Friends have decided to rename the building Loudon Lodge, recognising the contribution this famous landscaper and architect made to the creation of the Arboretum. In the latter part of 2019, the park's wildlife area was given a makeover, supported by BBC Radio Derby. For a whole week they encouraged groups of volunteers to come along and help clear the area of overgrown brambles and weeds to create an outdoor classroom space. Most of the many local primary schools have no green space, and the area is used to capacity as an outdoor classroom. There are bug hotels and various habitats for the wildlife, a butterfly bed, hedgehog house, and a pond. The local school children have been the chief beneficiaries of this transformation, but we hope the Friends will have enough volunteers to be able to open the area regularly for all the public to explore. Over the past 5 years, the Friends have continued to organise annual events. In May, we hold the Mayfest, which is run in the style of a village fair. Various groups and charities offer arts and crafts, wildlife activities and games. We encourage organisations to publicise local activities, and some traders and food vendors set out stalls. Spread out along the main pathways between the fountain and the community garden, the event can attract over 500 visitors from around the area. The city's mayor is invited, and other councillors come along. In the late summer, we hold Lark in the park, when a stage is set up for performances. So as well as the many stalls, there is a covered performance area for local acts including magicians, singers, bands, dance troupes, poetry and storytelling. The autumn gathering is Luminate, a family lantern parade held at dusk. Visitors collect a pre-assembled battery-lit lantern and join a column of people on a tour of the Arboretum's pathways. Musicians accompany the parade, and at intervals there is a brief stop for a Morris dancing demonstration. A fantastic atmosphere pervades, and the evening is topped off with a selection of hot soups and rolls in the orangery. Over 150 attend this event, all credit to Spiral Arts that arranged the making of the ingenious lanterns, as well as the many light sculptures that are placed around the route. And so to the future. The Friends of Derby Arboretum is now well placed to grow into a sustainable group, offering the local community much added value around the Arboretum. As well as running the annual events, we intend to use the new community hub for regular community activities focused on the natural assets of the Arboretum, its lovely surroundings, and the peaceful green environment. The idea being to pursue themes of well-being, mindfulness, flora and fauna education and experience. There will be the study of the trees with a plan to gradually replace some of them. It is important to the Friends that this wonderful space is properly maintained, respecting the original vision of John Claudius Loudon. It is hoped that through the improvements, many more visitors from around Derbyshire and beyond will call by the Arboretum and enjoy its tranquility.